So here we are. So last depreciation we're going to be learning is going to be called the straight line method. Now, we're still going to use the same 5 components, right? The same 5 components that's going to be utilized in all 3 in order to do depreciation. However, we're actually going to be focusing now on the straight line method. And I will tell you this, straight line is the easiest one. It's the easiest one, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and determine, well, what is straight line? All right, so straight line is literally taking the asset cost and spreading it evenly throughout its useful life. And that's it. Meaning that you're going to spread out every single cost and evenly distribute it. So that means every year you're going to depreciate one amount and one amount in all. Because that's the whole point of straight line, right? It's like when you draw a graph, it's equal in every single part. It's a straight line, okay? Now, what are the formulas going to be entailing? So it's actually going to be a mixture of both units of production as well as double declining. So we're going to see familiar equations except a slight difference. So the first one's going to be the depreciation basis. It's going to be taking the same one that we learned in units of production, which is the cost of the asset minus salvage value. All right? Now, where depreciation rate is going to be 1 over its useful life. All right, so that's a combination of double declining, right? Where we saw it's 1 over the useful life times 2. This time, we don't need to multiply it by 2. It's just 1 over the useful life, okay? And then, of course, depreciation expense is going to be your depreciation basis times your rate. And then, of course, your accumulated and your book value will stay the same. So this is a combination of the 2 methods that we just learned earlier and combining it into this one and making it a uniform and easy way to calculate everything. So let's go ahead and get started with the first example. So here it says example to journalize or record the depreciation for the first year. So here we have a machine. It's worth $15,000. Salvage value is $2,500 with a useful life of 5 years. Okay. And number of units that they can produce is 10,000, which we don't care about. And then lastly, the date that we place it in service is January 1st, assuming that we depreciate at the end of the year. So what is the depreciation basis going to be?
Let's see here. Here's the cost of the asset, which is the 15,000,
Mm-hmm.
and minus the salvage, 2,500.
2,500 is correct. So what is the depreciation rate this time?
Oh, rate. Oh, sorry. So I was just coming up with the basis, which is 12,500, right?
Go ahead, correct?
Okay, sorry.
Yes, so the next question is, how do you solve for the rate?
That is the one. That's going to be 0.20.
Good. It's just going to be 20% or 2.2. Okay, good. So then from there, what's my depreciation expense? Oops, sorry. What's my depreciation expense going to be?
That is 2,500.
2,500, right? It's going to be 12,500 times 20% to give you 2,500, right? And then, so what's your accumulated depreciation?
Is also right now.
200. Making your total book value to be?
That is the it's 25, oops, 1,500 minus 2,500.
Okay, the cost of the asset.
Oh, sorry, 12,005, or 15,000.
15,000 minus
Minus 2,500 is 12,500.
12,500. All right, good. So let's solve for year 2 then. Let's solve for year 2. Okay. Oh, let's solve for year 2.
Okay. So it'll be the 12.5 again for the depreciation basis,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll do that times 20%,
Mm-hmm.
which is gonna give us the 2,500 again.
Mm-hmm.
Our accumulation is gonna be 5,000,
Mm-hmm.
and our book value will be 10,000.
Good. So notice we just calculated for the second year. Notice how everything is looking the same. And what you're going to do is at the end of the 5 years, this is what's going to happen. Your first 3 columns are going to look identical. So meaning your depreciation basis, your rate, and your depreciation expense are going to look identical. So meaning once you solve for one, that's the why it's so easy, because it's going to be the same exact thing every year. So that means the only difference that you're going to be recalculating or calculating is going to be your accumulated depreciation, as well as determining the book value at the end of its useful life. Now, because you're spreading it out evenly across, what you're going to notice is at the end of the 5th year, your accumulated depreciation should equal to your depreciation basis, and your book value should equal to salvage value. So that's why I left this one, the easiest one, last, because literally you solve for one, you can solve for the rest. And guess what's even more better? When you journalize, can you tell me what's your journal going to look like?
Okay, the journal will be the depreciation expense,
Mm-hmm.
and then the accumulation depreciation,
Mm-hmm.
and the amounts is going to be the 2,500.
Good. And guess what? That means the same thing's going to happen the next year and the year after that and the year after that. So that means in this case, every year the journal entry will look the same. So that's why this is the easiest and it's the well-known used one, because this is the easiest. That way you don't need to calculate anything beyond that. All you need to calculate is one number, solve for it, and that's it. All right, so basically what you're doing is you're finding the asset cost and you're dividing it evenly throughout its lifetime. So spreading the cost evenly throughout. Okay, and that's all that this concept is about. Any questions in regards to straight line?
Nothing so far.
Okay. Now, of course, with that being said, we also need to consider partial years, because again, we also have to understand that in this kind of case, because we're dealing with its useful life, we have to assume that this is going to also be a time sensitive one as well. So in this case, here you go. Here's the example. You bought a machine on October 1st for $10,000. Its useful life is 5 years, and its capacity of 25,000 units it could produce. And it's got a salvage value of 2,500 at the end of its useful life, and when you placed it into service was October 18. So how many months do you have left to depreciate?
2.
2. Did you say wait?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. You only have November and December, because the way we placed it in service was after the 15th. So therefore, we don't need to depreciate for the month of October. We need to depreciate the following month of that, which is November and December. Okay? So with that being said, here is our information. So let's solve for the depreciation expense, the basis, rate, and then expense. So what is my depreciation basis going to be?
7,500.
7,500, okay? And what's my rate going to be?
20%.
Mm-hmm. And then, so therefore, my depreciation expense is going to be
1,500.
1,500. Now, of course, because we're dealing with partial times, right? This is for one whole year. Now, what you can do is you can apply this for the second year because once we depreciate for the first year, the second year is going to be forever on 1,500. Okay? Now, but because we're dealing with partial years, we only need to depreciate for only 2 months. So how are you going to calculate this?
1,500 divided by 12 times 2.
Good. And what do you get?
$250.
$250 is going to be your new amount. Yes. So yes, you could do that. You could also do times 2 divided by 12, or you can also do 0.1666666, okay? Because we only need 2 months. So however you solve it, as long as you can correctly get to 250 is correct. Okay? So in this case, my first year is 250, right? And then how are we going to journalize this time?
Depreciation expense
Uh-huh.
of 250,
Mm-hmm.
and then the accumulated
Mm-hmm.
of 250.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So any questions in regards to straight line?
Nothing yet.
No.
Yeah. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Again, solve for one, you solve for all of it. Okay. The only difference is if there is a scenario where you need to calculate the partial years, that's where you may have to you may have to calculate one extra step further. Okay. So with that being said, that concludes 11.3. So what I'm going to quickly show you is 11.4. And this is going to be talking about amortization. Okay? So first off, what the heck is amortization? So it's pretty much a fancy word to say, hey, this is how I depreciate my intangible assets. That's exactly what it is. Amortization is just another fancy word for depreciation, except its key factor is it's based off on intangible assets, meaning all your patents, all your copyrights, all your licenses and XYZ, anything that's considered an intangible asset will be amortized, not depreciated, okay? And for this class, I know that there's a variety of terminology when it comes to determining the intangible life, right? Some patents or some copyrights could be 2 years, 10 years, or even 30 years, right? But for this class, all I want you to know is I'm just going to take a wild guess and just assume that all patents, all copyrights, and all licenses has a useful life of 15 years. Okay? Now, another thing that you also have to consider is it doesn't actually hold a value at the end of its useful life, right? Because when patents expire or when they become zero out, what do you have to normally do?
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Okay, so when you have a patent or a copyright, right? And it's reached its useful life, meaning it lasts you, protects you for 15 years. So what is the value of that patent as of then?
Nothing.
It's nothing, correct. It only holds value every time you renew it or repurchase it for again, and then you have a lifetime for it. So in this case, that is one of the significant things about a intangible asset is it shouldn't have any salvage value or residual value at all. Okay, and it has to be renewed at the end of its useful life anyways. So with that being said, why am I teaching you guys this now? Because you know why? It is so closely related to straight line. In fact, it's almost identical to straight line, except you have one key factor. You don't have a salvage value. So that makes it a lot easier. So that makes it so then your calculations should be reflecting exactly identical to straight line. So you're going to basically spread the cost of the intangible asset amongst its entire lifetime. So in this case, again, like we said, we're applying that it's going to be 15 years. So let's go ahead and solve for the depreciation basis here. Okay, so what's the depreciation basis going to be? We're going to treat it as if it's straight line. Yeah, we're going to treat it as if it's straight line.
Okay, the depreciation basis is $2,000.
20,000. Good. So what's the rate going to be?
$0.0667.
And the date that we place in service, January. So obviously, the day that you buy your patent is going to be the day that it goes into service. You can't buy it and expect it to start on another date. It's going to be the day that you buy it. Okay, and it's going to be exactly how it's applied. As in, if you buy it in the beginning of January, you're going to depreciate the month of January. If you're going to buy it at the end of January, then you're going to do it for February. Same thing applies there. Okay. So good. So here we're going to solve for all of that. So we solved for the first two. Okay, what is the depreciation expense going to be?
That is
So the
here,
20,000.
20,000. On my calculator, I don't know if it's rounding or not, I have 1,334.
1,333. 33 because it's three ongoing.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how you solve for it, and basically you're going to deplete it, or I'm sorry, amortize it all the way down to zero till it reaches its last life. And it's, again, because it's the same identical to straight line, you can already assume your first three columns are going to look the same every year. Okay. And that's it for amortization. It's exactly like straight line, except you only have one key factor missing, which is your salvage value. You don't care about the salvage value because there shouldn't be one. All right. And again, if you solve for one, you pretty much solve for the rest of them. So this is how you're going to journalize it. Instead of doing a depreciation expense, you're going to change the word depreciation and change it to amortization, okay? Because the only difference between the meaning and the terminology is one is for tangible assets, which you wish to depreciate. One's for intangible assets, which we call amortization. Same thing for land. Land, we deplete it. So there's depletion, okay? So terminology-wise, the way you journalize it is identical. It's just the terminology is different. So in this case, we're going to recognize amortization expense, and we're going to accumulate the amortization for whatever that you've calculated for that year. Pretty straightforward. Simple. Okay. All right. And course review. So here you go. I just uploaded this brand new one. So here is the formulas for straight line and the formulas for amortization. Okay. And that's it. Any questions in regards to straight line or amortization?
No.
Nothing yet.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our example here. So question number 1. So question number 1 asks, okay, so for example, you purchase a coffee maker for $250 with no salvage value, okay? Its useful life is 5 years, and it could produce up to 2,500 pots, which we don't care about, okay? You put this coffee maker into service on January 12th. All right. So first off, what did we buy?
A coffee maker,
We bought a coffee maker. How much did the coffee maker cost?
$250.
$250. Its salvage value is
Zero.
$0. Okay. And what's its useful life?
5 years.
5 years. And lastly, when did we place it into service?
112.
Okay, so assuming, do we need to depreciate for January?
Yes.
Yes, so we're depreciating it for its whole entire year. All right, so what's my depreciation basis going to be?
250.
It's going to be 250 minus your salvage value, which is 0. Okay, so good. It is 250. It is just 250. I just realized that, okay?
I was like,
Knock it off, man. Just kidding. No worries. Okay, so what do we know about solving for all 1?
It's going to be the same all the way down.
Yeah, so that means the depreciation basis is going to be $250 all the way down. What about the rate?
The rate is going to be 20%.
Yes, it's going to be 1/5, which is 20%. So, and we know all of it's going to be the same. So, what is going to be the depreciation expense for the first year?
$50.
$50. And what do we know about this?
It's going to be $50 every year. Yep.
Correct. So now all it is now just solving for the accumulated depreciation. So the accumulated depreciation for the first year is going to be
$50.
$50, making my book value to be
200.
good, 200. Whoa, not 200%, $200. Good. Good. So then what's my accumulated depreciation for the second year?
Okay, so it is still, it's the 50 plus the 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
100, oops,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Making my book value.
Is the, oops, 250 minus the 100 is 150.
150. Good. So what's my accumulated depreciation for the third year?
$150.
150, making my book value to be
$100.
$100. And then what's my accumulated depreciation for the fourth year?
So it's 200.
Mm-hmm. Making my book value to be
Why do I keep losing my place? I'm sorry.
no worries.
Is 50.
50. Good. Then lastly, for my last year, what is my total accumulated depreciation?
$250.
Making my book value equal to
0.
0. So there you go. At the end of 5 years, my accumulated depreciation should match my depreciation basis, which it does, and my book value should equal to salvage value, which it does. It's 0. Okay, pretty straightforward, pretty easy, the easiest one. Okay, so let's go ahead and journalize it for the first and second year. So what do we know about the first and second year?
They're gonna look the same.
So let's go ahead and, what's my journal going to be?
The amortization.
Now we're doing straight line.
Oh, sorry. So it is still the, the depreciation expense.
Good.
And then it's the accumulation depreciation. And the amount is $50.
So, yes, it's going to be for $50. And therefore, Michelle has already said that first year, second year, third year, fourth year, they're all going to look the same. So, no real change or calculation needs to be done here. Okay? So that's the first example. All right? Any questions? It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Nothing yet for me.
Okay. So now this one, I'm going to test your knowledge on this one this time. So instead of doing the basic years, this time we're going to depreciate it every month. Okay? And here is the situation here. You purchase a couch for $2,485 even, includes all fees, okay? With a salvage value of $150, okay? Its useful life is 7 years, and you put it into service, okay, on August 25th. Assume that the adjustment are at the end of every month, okay? So let's go ahead and solve for let's answer the questions here. What's my asset? Oopsies.
Couch or couch furniture.
Yes, it's a couch. Okay. What was the cost of my couch?
$2,485.
Good. And what's my salvage value?
150.
150. Good. Okay. And my useful life?
7 years.
7 years. Okay. And what's the date that I placed it into service?
8/25.
8/25. Okay, good. Now, let's go ahead and solve for this, but make sure you keep in mind that I want to depreciate it based on a month-to-month basis. So, what's my what's my depreciation basis going to look like?
Good question.
Okay, so we're gonna have to figure out the months.
Well, let's just take it one step at a time because you don't really need to adjust that until you hit the depreciation expense.
Okay.
Okay, so what is my depreciation basis?
Well, it's the total asset amount, right? The 2,485.
Mm-hmm. Minus
The salvage.
minus the salvage, yes. Okay. Minus the salvage, which gives me a grand total of
$2,335.
okay. So of course, because the same thing that's going to apply here. All right. So what is my rate going to be?
20%.
Not 20%.
Oh, I mean the 0.20.
Yes. Say that again?
The 0.20.
No.
No. Okay.
What is 1 divided by 7?
0.14285714.
Yes. So in this case, does it say? I'm just going to go ahead and round it to 4 decimal places. Okay. So let me display 4. So you have, yeah, 1, okay. Well, I just added 1 8, but okay, that's okay. So what's my depreciation expense going to be for the whole year? Just assuming it's 1 year.
It would be, wait, what? All right. Okay. Nope, I'm lost myself here because, hold on a minute. How did I do?
Just solve the depreciation expense regularly. And then we'll talk about the next step afterwards. So what's the formula for depreciation expense?
Hold on a minute. I keep messing up my formula, so. 28. Why is it doing that? All right, sorry. I'm trying to look at too many things, so okay. I have to go back and start over. Sorry.
That's fine. Where do you want to start over?
So wait, let me figure out the rate again because I'm messing it up here in my spreadsheet, and then that's where my mind is focusing.
Okay. So your rate, okay, is 1 divided by the number of useful life.
7
So 1 divided by 7 gives you,
is the 0.143857.
okay?
Okay, why does my okay?
You just have to display what you want to see.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so then it would be the times 3% would be $333.57.
Okay?
Lord
So,
have mercy, that took forever.
don't worry about it. It's towards the end of the day. All right, so this is how much depreciation expense you would accumulate for 1 whole year. Now, how much is it if I were to just find out how much it is for 1 month?
Well, let's see. You could divide that 33357 by 12, right?
Exactly. And what do you get?
By 12 is 27.7975.
Hold on. I divided it by 2. So equal round. Okay. We're going to multiply across and divide it by 12, comma 2. 27, and what did you say?
I had 27.7975. So yes, 2780.
Good. 2780. And that's how much you're going to accumulate for 1 month. So, because I'm doing this on a month to month to month to month basis, that means what? This is how much is going to be I'm going to depreciate every single month. Okay? So if month 1 is going to be for $27.80, what is month 2 going to be?
The same.
Mm-hmm. In
2780.
In fact, all 3 columns are going to be the same because we're doing on a month to month to month basis. So it doesn't even matter how many months we have here because we're calculating by months. But there will be a grand total where there will be a time where we, when we reach, all right, what's 7 times 12? 84 months. That's when we can stop filling the rest of the information in. Okay. Okay, so there you go. All those are the same, and therefore the 2780 is also going to be identical as well. Okay, that did not come out right. Okay, so they're all going to be 2780. All right, because this is a month to month to month basis. So in this case, my send time is not sensible here because I don't care how many months I have left. I'm depreciating it every single month. So it doesn't even matter when I start. As long as I recognize that on August 25th when I place into service, so that means the very first month that I'm depreciating it is going to be for the month of September. Good. So let's go ahead and solve for the accumulated depreciation. So what is the first month's depreciation?
2780.
2780, making my book value to be
2,307.20.
good.
Oh,
Oh, 2,400 and
Oh,
that's not what I said. You added, I think.
I added
2,307.20. That
Uh,
what
Yeah,
you said?
that's what I got. Yeah, $2,307.20.
20 cents.
200.
That's why I took it off the depreciation basis. I didn't take it off the original cost. That's
Oh, okay.
right. You were
Okay.
right.
Okay, because I was like, okay.
Right.
Excel is wrong. No.
So,
Yeah, that's what I got. Yeah, 2457.20. There we go.
Perfect. Okay, so what is the accumulated depreciation for the second year?
5560.
5560, making my new book value to be
oh, sorry.
$2,429.40.
good. All right. What's my accumulated depreciation for the third month?
Hold on a minute. I am behind.
Okay. Okay, where are you?
I'm finishing up the end of the last one.
Okay.
So, okay. So I got the 24, 29, oops, 40 cents in the
Mhm.
book value, right? And then is that carries over, right?
No, because
No.
we're doing straight line.
And now why do I forget what is it the 2485?
2485. Where are you looking at?
Oh, that's the one right ahead above it. Sorry. Okay. So how do I get the? Why am I missing this information?
So we're working on the accumulated depreciation for the third year. So what's the formula for accumulated depreciation?
Back here. All right, you're gonna have to help me because I'm losing myself. I don't know why I can't keep this straight, but it's
Okay, so the formula for accumulated depreciation is going to be the previous year's accumulated depreciation plus the current year's depreciation expense. So because we're doing straight line, we know that all of it's going to look identical. So now that we're on the third year, we already know that the depreciation expense is $27.80, right? We know that the previous is $55.60. So what is my current accumulated depreciation expense? I mean accumulated depreciation.
accumulated depreciation plus current year.
Mm-hmm.
2780 plus the 5560, 8340.
Good. Now, how do you solve for book value?
Wait, wait a minute. This is why I'm lost. So
Okay, explain to me where you're lost. Where?
well, because in the depreciation basis column, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have all that you have. So I look back at yours and you have yours filled in. So I missed that somehow. See, I started with the 2,330 or 2,335.
Oh, you're right. Mine are not the same. I don't
I'm in that
know.
column. You're in another column. That's why I'm not wondering. I'm like, what are we talking about? So,
They're all
well,
supposed to be the same number. I don't know why it did
okay,
not pull across.
okay. That's what I thought. And I was like, well, I missed something. So,
There you go.
my goodness. Because, yeah, I'm not usually this dumb.
You're not dumb.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I certainly don't see what you see. So,
Okay.
for some reason, they're not.
So we know that the first three columns are going to be the same. Once you solve for one, you solve for the rest. That's what this applied fill-in thing is.
Right. Yes. So I see all the 2780s are the same. The rate's the same all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, oh, well, I'm gonna say it was the 8340.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And the cost of the 2485
Mm-hmm.
minus the 8340 is $2,401.60.
Good. All right. So we're squared away from now, right? Everything looks the same. There you go. So how do we solve for the accumulated depreciation for the fourth year? That's all we're solving for because we've already all of our information here to determine the depreciation expense we already know is the same.
So let me do it again, Michelle. Sorry.
No, no,
Because
no, keep going. You're good,
had
keep going.
all the wrong numbers give you all the wrong answers. So I came up with this, the accumulation depreciation amount is 111.20.
Good.
Me
Okay,
too.
Bringing your book value to be
value to be is going to be the 24.85 minus the 111.20 is 2,373.80.
good. Yay. So what's the accumulated depreciation for year 5?
Oops.
$139.
$139 even. Good. All right.
And my new book value is $2,346.
2,000. Good. All right. Let's do the accumulated depreciation for year 6.
And we have 139. So I have $166.80.
Good.
Okay. I have $2,318.20.
Good. So what's the last one that we need to solve for?
Oh, oops. 194.60.
194.60, bringing your book value to be
$2,290.40.
good. Okay, so that's all that there is there. Now let's go ahead and do the adjustment entry. So number 5 says, record the adjustment entry for the month of August for the first year. Okay, so the month of August, right? What is our journal going to look like?
For the month of August, we're not going to have anything.
Good. It's going to be no entry because we don't depreciate until when?
The following month, September.
Okay, so here I'm gonna write no entry so you know that there's no entry. Okay, so number 6. Number 6 says record the adjustment entry for the month of September for the first year. So what did we solve? What's my depreciation expense going to be for the month of September?
2780.
2780. So what's my journal going to look like? So I'm going to say September 30th.
Depreciation expense.
Mm-hmm.
And then below that, you'll have the accumulated depreciation.
Accumulated depreciation. Good. And for
2780.
$27.80. Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So then question number 7 says, okay, so record the adjustment entry for the first year, assuming that depreciation adjustment entries was done on December 31st, okay, and was calculated annually. Okay, so now that we've solved for this, right, if this is a breakdown for every single month, and we're starting to depreciate on September, what happens when we reach to December?
Or close out the book. I don't know. we finish, I mean, we start the new cycle.
Right, but in this case, so this is assuming that we're going to depreciate it at the end of the year. So we're doing it in
Oh,
years. Yes, that's what the question is
I got it.
asking.
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, so we will do September,
Mm-hmm.
October, November, and December. So we
Correct.
would do 2780 times 4.
Correct. Good. Or in this case, what do we know? What happened on the fourth month?
That it accumulated $111.20 of depreciation.
Exactly.
Oh,
You would be able to solve that as well if you were to punch that in your calculator, right? You solved this just like the way that we did earlier, right? We solved
Mhm.
across and we saw that it was $111.20 something cents, something like
Yeah,
that.
20 cents. Yep.
So in this case, yes, it's going to be for the 4 months. So the total it's going to be is for 111.20. So same journal entry,
Mhm.
except one scenario is doing it by months, and the question number 7 is asking you what if you end up doing it at the end of the year. Okay, so in this case, so we're doing the partial years, so we know that there's a total of 11. A total of 4 months. So 11.20 is the answer. All right, good job. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to question number 8. I want to do this real quick. So question number 8 says here that for this example here, on January 12th, you purchase a copyright for $2,500. Okay, its useful life is 15 years. Okay, so first off, what did we buy?
copyright.
We bought a copyright. Okay, and how much did it cost me?
It was, where'd it go? $2,500.
$2,500. All right. Of course, there's no salvage value when it comes to intangible assets. Okay. So its useful life is going to be,
It's 15 years
and when do we place it into service?
on January 12th.
So we need to depreciate January as well. So this is assuming all of these are in years. So what's my depreciation basis? So again, amortization and straight line are one. They act the same. So what's my depreciation basis? Go ahead.
2,500.
Yes, it's going to be for whatever amount I have here. 25. Okay. There you go. 25 all the way through. Okay. What's my rate going to be?
It is the is it the 1 divided by 15?
1 divided by 15 is correct.
Okay.
So I should get a
That is oops, 0.06666.
so it's a bunch of sixes.
Yes.
All right. There you go. Bunch of sixes. All right. And we know that's going to be the same for every single year. So therefore, what's my depreciation expense going to be?
Okay, let's see. $166.65.
166 and 67.
Oh. Hmm.
Did you do equal round or how'd you do this?
Yeah, I did. I just, maybe I didn't have enough,
Oh, you typed it in.
yeah. Well, I took the rate that I have typed in. I
Okay.
don't know why it's not coming
Okay,
right.
so
I had 0.066666, four sixes.
okay.
So should I go out as far as you've gone out?
You can if you like. Obviously, the more numbers, the better. With Excel, you could actually put the formula in here, so it gives you the long number without you have to type it in. Okay,
Well,
I'll
today
teach you
I'm
that
having
one
trouble
day.
today I'm having trouble watching you because I've got my back towards you. I'm doing it on my own computer, so
That's
sorry.
okay. No worries.
I try to watch and learn, but you know.
Okay. Yes, and then when we move on to the actual, whatchamacallit, maybe I can spend one of these days to tutor you to help you out with Excel. Okay. So in this
Well,
case, this is
take
what
the
I
class.
did. So this is what I did in my actual rate. I actually typed in a formula. I went in order to type in your formula, you apply your equal,
Uh-huh.
and I literally just put 1 divided by 15.
Oh, okay.
And then I press enter to activate my calculation there.
Okay.
So that is what this number is. So instead of typing all the 0, 0, 0, 0, and also doing calculations on the side, when you can just do it right here in Excel. So that's a great thing
Gotcha.
about it's Excel.
Right.
So what you're going to do here is it's going to be equal round. Okay.
Yes. Now it's right. Yes, it came up right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay then.
I got it.
All
Yeah,
right.
it should be right. Okay.
All right. Now that we solved that, it's going to be a 166,767 all the way through. It should be the same every year.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So the first 3 columns are going to stay the same. The only thing that you have to actually calculate is going to be the accumulated depreciation and your book value. So in this case, what is my accumulated depreciation for the first year?
Is the 166.67.
Good. There, oops, hit the wrong one. Because yes, there is no previous year, so it's going to be the 6667. 76. 67. All right, so that makes my book value become
It's going to be the 2,500 minus the 166.67, and
mm-hmm,
total of $2,333.33.
perfect. Okay. All right. So then what is my accumulated depreciation going to be for year number 2?
$333.34.
Good. And that makes my book value become
$2,166.66.
good. All right. So then what is my accumulated depreciation for the 3rd year?
I have $500.01.
Good.
Okay. And the book value is 1,999.99.
Cool. All right. So then what happened on the 4th year? What's my accumulated depreciation going to be?
$666.68.
Good. Bringing my book value to be
$1,833.32.
good. And lastly, I don't want you to do all 15 years at 15 years because it's going to be the identical. So tell me what's the last one going to be?
Okay, so that is $833.35.
Bringing my book value to be
$1,666.65.
Good. All right. So the next set of questions says number 9 and number 10 is to record the adjustment entry for the first year and the second year. So as you know, they look identical. So what is going to be my journal for my adjustment for the first year? So December 31st. What is it going to be for the first year?
So let's see here. The first year is going to be the 166.67.
Good. 166.67. So 166.67.
And
166.
this is the amortization
Good. Good.
expense.
This is going to be, yes, amortization expense. And what is going to be my credit?
It is going to be the accumulation amortization.
Correct. Good. Accumulated amortization. Say, I almost wrote depreciation. Amortization. Good. And of course, because the journals are going to be identical, what is going to be my journal for the second year?
The same thing. 166.67 for your amortization expense under debit,
Mm-hmm.
and 166.67 for the accumulated under credit.
Good. So that is all I have for you today. Tomorrow, we're going to do a recap of all 4 methods. So we're going to look at units of production. We're going to be looking at straight line, double declining, and amortization all in one class tomorrow. Okay. So again, we went over this example. So this is another exercise for you. Tomorrow we're going to go through all 4 of them. So with that, any questions in regards to what we learned today?
I have none yet. So if I have
Okay.
any, you're the first to know.